Happy holidays and welcome to the Ball Hawk Sports Talk, where the managerial decisions of big finance meet the weekly storylines of sports and entertainment. It's where sports, business, and entertainment collide. Enjoy this week's show. It is another opportunity to get together and record the Ball Hawk Sports Talk. And that's where these things come together. Managerial decisions of big finance collide with the weekly storylines of sports and entertainment. The crew is in the building today. For those of you who do not know, I take the honor and the opportunity to introduce from the Middle Coast, the man, the myth, the legend, thou shall be intergalactically known and respected as. When you say it with some bass in your voice, some reverence. He is and shall be known as the Big Flow Show is in the building. What's up, my brother?
Man, just this is that weird time of year, man. Like you're getting into the holidays. You've been to a few parties. You've had your fill of eggnog, and I'm almost at the point I'm just ready to just get back to work. You know what I mean? Just get back to doing what I got to go do.
That's when you know things are extreme. When that's the solution, I'm ready to just get back to work. That lets you know just how tired you get at some point of all the celebrations. But nonetheless,
we've had. I don't want to be that grinchy. I mean, we had a good little Christmas party over here. We had a little breakfast. We have an annual breakfast we do with one of my buddies and his family. And Christmas Eve, we had my in-laws over, and we had a good time there. Those of you guys who like to cook, you'll feel me when I say what I cooked turned out. That's a big stress reliever. You always worry about when you're cooking something for a lot of people if it doesn't turn out. But mine turned out, so it was fantastic. Once that happens, I kick back. I don't smoke cigars, but you want to sit back with a cigar, watch everybody eating the food that you created.
Right on, man. Well, congratulations on it coming to fruition. And we do want to at least acknowledge everyone. For those who will be watching our live recording, let us start with happy holidays. Whatever it is that you celebrate, whether it be Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, if there's something that we are leaving out, it is unintentionally. Merry, happy, however you started off, fill in the blank. It is a time to be festive, it is a time to enjoy family, it is a time to reflect. For those of you who are like myself, still trying to grapple with and deal with holidays without that significant someone. For me and my mother, I don't care when it was when you lost one that special. We send our prayers and thoughts to you and hope that you were able to get through it and hope that their memories were the things that allow you to continue smiling. This week's episode is going by the title of Big Sister Syndrome. And if you know anything about the Ball Hawk Sports Talk, we try to take real ownership of our titles every week. And as we started thinking of our topics and some of the battles that took place this week, we couldn't help but to think of the syndrome that is often known as the Big Brother syndrome. Big Brother syndrome is like everybody's watching, as surveillance, and then the Big Brother syndrome, there's a little bit of contention and maybe even jealousy. The Big Brother syndrome is one entity. The Big Brother is notoriously more powerful and takes more ownership than the other entity, Little Brother. But today on the Ball Hawk Sports Talk, where we've discussed Title IX, where the WNBA season has been front and center WNBA league, and then this year the season and its CBA discussions have been front and center to our dialogue, where we've got an amazing sports dad that raised not just a college football player, but also a college volleyball player and his daughter. We serious about making sure that there is balance between the genders. And then today we use this title because my big sister, Kim, who taught me how to dress, keep me fly, taught me what to not say in the presence of a young lady, and taught me so many other things. Just happens to be her birthday. So happy birthday, Kim.
Happy birthday, Kim. Hey, and happy birthday to my boy Sid. He might be watching too. Sid Pointer today. He turned about 57, 56, 57, one of those two old friends.
So you're allowed to say your friend's age. I'm not allowed to say my sister's age.
Nah, she put hands on you.
Yes.
I'm not going to see Sid for a while anyway, so he can't do nothing to me. I remember, this is a funny story, though. I'll tell you how old I am now. Sid, so I'm 52. Sid's, I think he's 56, 57. And I remember when he turned 30 and I was in my 20s. And I was embarrassed to tell my friends that the person whose birthday party I was going to was 30 because I felt like I was hanging with grown folks. What I would give to be 30.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it just happens that way, man. Time flies, and knowing that it flies, we like to make sure that we take full advantage of the time. So happy holidays to everybody. Happy birthday to my sister Kim. Happy birthday to Sid. Happy birthday to all those who celebrate. And we make sure we say that on this day after Christmas, because if you got a birthday the day after Christmas, chances are that you get shorted on some gifts. So we want to make sure we give them the gift of recognizing their birthdays and all the December birthdays that often get caught up in the sauce of Christmas. But let's hop in. We will not allow these topics to get caught up in the sauce of Christmas. We will not allow sports, business, entertainment to lose its thunder because we are all focused on the things we should, being happy and festive and being giving and thankful in this Christmas season or Hanukkah season or Kwanzaa season or, again, whatever you celebrate. There was some sports topics because what we deal with the weekly storylines of sports and entertainment and how they collide with the managerial decisions of big finance. The biggest, most amazing story that came out of this week. And yesterday they went head to head. Is two of the four. And the two top of the four domestic professional sports leagues collided when it came to viewership on Christmas Day. Like we ask every week, we ask our audience members who watch this live, we ask you humbly to please like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anyone that you know, and subscribe to the YouTube channel and the podcast. Let's hop in and we ask those same live audience members, what did you watch on Christmas Day? But the lineup was set up where it was a Herculean battle. It wasn't one of them Jake Paul fights that we watched. Shout out to Anthony for doing what we all wanted to do, wiring that man's jaw shut. This was a real fight between the big bad NFL that at this point would probably be described as the sole owner of the last American sport, shall I say, versus this international Goliath known as the NBA. What did you choose on Christmas Day, Big Flow Show?
I chose football.
You're not alone.
At the end of the day, it's that's that time of year where you're really trying to figure out what's going to happen in the playoffs, what the lineup is, real important. And I think basketball, I just always feel like I have more time. You know, I got more time to watch. Yeah. I may catch a game here and there, but I feel like I have more time.
Yeah, I think you're not alone in that decision. The numbers bear that out. That so much so that Charles Barkley, you know, the man who says that things are terrible, he described a terrible, terrible situation. One in which he described that Roger Goodell and the NFL, he called them greedy pigs. He doubled down on that yesterday and said Christmas is a NBA day.
Mm-hmm.
So I listening to Mr. Charles Barkley, and because it started earlier, NBA had 5 games. It was 5-3. NBA had 5 games that started at noon. NFL had 3 games. But because the channel was set on NBA, I just stayed posted. I didn't have to worry about what it was being broadcast on. And I listened to Charles Barkley call Roger Goodell. Terrible. You greedy pig. And I just stayed tuned into the NBA. And there were some good games. For those who did watch, thank you. I think someone did already comment on what they watched.
They did, but before he did that, he shouted me out on my school clothes. See, I'm funny in my house. I give myself Christmas gifts. I wrap them and everything, and I open them up and I act surprised to see them, just to make sure I always get something I want. You know what I mean? Not to say anything about the gift givers in my house, but he shouted me out on my sweatshirt. This is my first day, man. My wife likes to say I buy new school clothes to diminish me and demasculate me, but I bought myself a nice little sweatshirt. It fits nice, and so I appreciate somebody who recognized my fashion.
Got it. Actively Black Man. I will give you more of a shout out. All you gotta do is call us and make this transaction happen, and we'll do an official commercial for you. Until then, we're just gonna say that's a nice sweatshirt you got on.
Welcome to the show, Shannon. But yeah, it was locked on the next game. I can see it. The basketball games were good. I mean,
they were great.
Look at the scores.
They were great. You got Madison Square Garden, baby. Madison Square Garden, Knicks, and it just so happens that you had the Knicks playing Cleveland. You had Spider Mitchell, who is dating a singer. I didn't know he was dating the ICU singer. What's her name? Coco. Yeah, don't show your age, man. She got 2 hot songs. I had to look them up during the game. They kept showing her. I was wondering why. They're I think engaged. Yeah, Coco somebody. But they're engaged to get married. Spider had a great game. So did what I like to call the Mighty Mouse. Out there in New York, who's playing very well, man, not to diminish him, but my New York Knicks group chat, I like to have fun with them, so I never call him by name, but he had a great game too. Great game. NBA front and center, Christmas Day, that used to be a thing. Are we at the point now that the NFL is taking over? Because the viewership numbers show that might be happening. Now we're getting viewership.
The NFL has long been the number 1 pastime.
No, I mean on Christmas Day. On Christmas Day.
I don't know. You said it happened last year too. I don't remember that as much. I thought it was Thanksgiving was football and the NBA is basketball. And I
used to be the case.
I thought it was just the fact that it hit us on a Thursday. I thought it was the fact that we fell on Thursday and they were like, well, it's Thursday and Thursday is the NFL day. So
they did it last year and I think it was on a Wednesday. So what it used to be the program, you would only do an NFL game on Christmas when it landed on traditional NFL days, which were Sunday, Monday, and now Thursday. They've extended beyond that now and have designed in their programming Christmas Day games. They had 3 games yesterday, all on different networks. This is how bad they are in terms of their influence.
2 networks.
Well, one was on Prime.
And then the other 2 were on Netflix.
Were they both on Netflix? No, I don't think so. Were they? You might be right.
I believe they both were on Netflix.
I don't know that. I know Netflix, Prime, and then I didn't watch the Cowboys and Commanders. Where's Cowboys and Commanders?
I thought that was Netflix too. Let me see.
Okay. If that was Netflix too, then you had Netflix, which is testing out its reach and ability to broadcast live sports and doing a phenomenal job every time that they do it.
It was weird. No, you said doing a phenomenal job. I would say it was kind of weird. Like, even the Prime, which I've been against for a long time. I don't like the. Let me just go on and say this. I don't like the fact that the professional sports are a God-given right in this country, right? To watch professional sports. ESPN doesn't push to me because you got to have cable, but most people have cable, right? Yeah. But I really believe 5 like NBC, ABC, CBS, Fox. Those are the ones who should have the professional games. Because I think everyone should be able to watch them. It's a right, like education, all that kind of clean water, all that type of stuff. Sorry, Flint, but like everybody should be able to the sport. The streaming is going too far, and then the problem with streaming is that I don't know how it works in your neck of the woods, but like. When you flip back and forth, one of the reasons why I didn't watch any NBA games is when you get onto a streaming network, it's not very easy to just flip over and during the commercial and pick up on something. You're kind of stuck in there unless you want to deal with the whole login transition every time, right? Being maybe a little lazy,
right?
But it does stop me from. It's a lot easier to switch from NBC to CBS or NBC or Fox to CBS, go back and forth through the games. Not a big deal. Thanks, Michelle, for doing our back off.
I was just happy I got it right with Coco. But you were right. It was on Netflix. It was on Netflix and then carried locally in Dallas and I guess the DMV DC area.
They put a lot into it though. They had a Snoop Dogg halftime show, Super Bowl-esque type halftime show, and some other singers. It went across a lot of genres. They had an opera singer singing, they had a country singer singing, but Snoop kind of like ran the whole thing.
Last year was the Beyonce Bowl, right, which the numbers were staggering because you were messing with the Beehive.
Me and Snoop kind of still have beef over that Trump stuff, but I watched, just to see what it was all about. They did a lot of guest appearances. It kind of had a little bit of a, the Mannings, how they do their little thing. And
they have their
a little bit of that feel. I felt they went back to studio a lot more often than a normal football game. Like people that weren't like just standing up doing the color, but they're going back to the studio. They went.
But you didn't turn the TV,
huh?
You didn't turn the TV. You stayed and watched.
No, actually, honestly, because of the show, I wanted to I wanted to give it more. I wanted to pay more attention to it, see like how is it different. I'm not gonna say they did a bad job. The viewing, everything was normal. Like you felt like you did that. The commentary I thought was adequate. Whoever was on there, I didn't know who he was. There was one of the in the later games, the old lineman whose his dad was an all-pro defensive lineman. I can't remember his name right now. Damn it, I looked it up before. His dad was number 75 defensive tackle, played for the Raiders. Howie Long's son. Howie Long's son was one of the guys who actually played for the Bears. I can't remember which Long was it. He did a good job to kind of ground it. The other guy was doing too much to me. And then they would bring in, they brought Barry Sanders in. They brought a bunch of old players, and they would give them like a few minutes of a cameo asking questions, and Chris Carter and some other people like that. It was different, and it screamed, we're just getting into this and we're trying to be different. You know what I mean?
Got it. Shout out to my man. Ironically, my man Mike Sellers. Shout out. What up, Big Mike? He was recognized yesterday as one of the they used to be Redskins, now Commanders, but saw something where he was honored, man. Fullback, got to play with him in Cleveland, man. Shout out Big Mike, man. And is now the running back coach and doing great things down at IMG. But I only put him up there and interrupt you just because he was recognized yesterday, man. So shout out to you, man. Great NFL career. And that is awesome that he got to be honored in front of his kids who didn't get to watch him play. So shout out to you, Big Mike.
See, I told you I could play. I know how it is at your house, Mike. I bet you don't get any more respect from them kids than my kids do for me when it comes to sports background. I want to say they give you any credit. Like, say they got me in the ring. Yeah, Dad, but you still don't know what you're talking about.
Still don't know what you're talking about. They'll listen to anybody but us. So on this day, in this episode, Big Sister Syndrome, I guess the viewership numbers will come out. If there's anything like last year, the NBA got crushed by the NFL. Do we buy Charles Barkley's argument that indeed Roger Goodell hasn't seen a penny that he doesn't like and is starting to get to the point, not starting to, is past the point of being greedy? When you call somebody a greedy pig, that means you really think that they got some morality issues. They're moral compass.
Especially when it's a rich person when it's a monopoly, rich monopoly calling another rich monopoly greedy. You know what I'm saying?
Fair.
Like you're the NBA, you're telling the NFL they're greedy. Man, shut your ass up. All that money that y'all throwing around over there, they got bills to pay too. Because of the NBA, the NFL, if you think about it, should look at the NBA and say, it's because of you we have to be greedy. You and your guaranteed contracts and all the different things that has pressured the NFL into doing guaranteed contracts. NFL was the best place to own a team because you have no loyalty or no obligation to anybody on your team or your roster, no matter what the contract.
And the public essentially pays for your stadium. We're not going to get into this Kansas City deal going to Kansas, but if you look at the deal, what Kansas is going to fork over, and even the revenues that or the rent that the Kansas City Chiefs, or I guess it'll be the Kansas Chiefs, has to pay, just goes into a fund that now that team, that franchise can use for its own operations.
I don't know
the
if
public
you froze for me.
funding.
Did I freeze for you?
You did not freeze for me, so it might have been me.
You froze a little bit, so just maybe rewind a second if other people had a problem too.
Yeah, if they did, I'll just repeat and say, if you look at the deal that Kansas is about to strike with the Chiefs, and you think of just how sweet from a business standpoint that is, that your entire stadium can be funded by the public. They've got some amazing situations in place. Having said that, I think Charles Barkley is not speaking on being a pig from just the financial standpoint, but the platform. The platform used to be, as long as Christmas did not fall on a Sunday, the platform used to be the NBA's day. Mm-hmm. Christmas used to be the NBA's day. And the NFL has come in. If you look at the viewership numbers, you look at the pageantry. Last year was the Beyonce Bowl. We don't have the numbers yet, but I'm pretty sure. And we're just doing a straw poll here. But Big Flo Show, you watch the NFL. I know a lot of my other friends watch the NFL. Because my son is in the midst of competitive basketball season, we stayed on the NBA. But I was in the minority yesterday, just based on my straw poll of what people were watching. Just saying, hey, what you guys watching? Most people watched the NFL yesterday. Mm-hmm. And the games weren't even good. But for Denver, you had all non-playoff teams.
No,
now,
the Detroit game
good.
had playoff. Detroit had a playoff implication.
They have playoff implications, but a lot had to go right. Yeah. They ended up losing, and now they're out of the playoffs. And they were in each instance, they were division foes, and it should have been a good slate of games that happened to just not play out that way in week 15. Right. But those games were pretty womp-womp in terms of the competition.
Kansas City, Denver, with everyone missing their star quarterbacks.
Yeah, and the Minnesota game turned out to be really a dud, right? Mm-hmm. They were just exchanging interceptions and fumbles, and between Minnesota and Detroit. So Cowboys and Commanders, I think, came down to a late game situation. I didn't watch the game, but I think Charles Barkley might be on to something. Roger Goodell probably has extended himself beyond just being prudent in his business decisions. The P that might apply here is being at the point of being a pig and going too far. I'll give you last word on it before we move on, man.
Same thing situation with, you mentioned Kansas City moving, Chicago. They're starting to flirt with the ideas of moving to Indiana. They switched to Arlington Heights. Used to have a race course out here. People who aren't from Chicago may not know this, but Arlington Heights has a race course. They paid for that land. There was rumors they were going to move to Naperville, like 5 minutes from my house. I still wouldn't mind if that happened. And now they're going to Indiana because because the deals aren't sweet enough. They don't want to pay any taxes. They want to be tax exempt. They want to do whatever. They're leaving the Bears Stadium because they never owned Soldier Field. It's always been just the city of Chicago owned that. The reason why they still have natural grass there and not turf is because no one wants to pay for it. When you think about how many high schools have turf, and to think that it's an NFL stadium, NFL team saying, I'm not paying for turf. That's your stadium. You pay for the turf. That's the arguments about nickels and dimes that they're going to it. But meanwhile, they can just take over a day like Christmas and dominate the NBA. So it's very interesting. It's a great sport on earth, though.
Having said that, we still a great sport on earth.
Having said that, a great sport on earth.
Say it with your chest. Let's get into the recap. And we'll start with the NBA first because this is Big Sister Syndrome. And Big Sister says Little Sister can go first. Little Sister is the NBA on Christmas. Whether you like it or not, the numbers support that statement. And while I watched the NBA, most people didn't. It started off with a great game. The Knicks playing the Cavs. The Cavs were up all game. And then out of nowhere, literally out of nowhere, Jalen Brunson and the crew just decide that they will not get beat. Two superstars that are, on average, normal-sized people, right? You got Spider Mitchell, who's about 6'2". And then you got Jalen Brunson, who on a good day is probably 6'1". Might be having some of them Prince heels. He's about 6'1". He's about a 6 foot celebrity. So
Prince heels.
He's Prince heels. Everybody got a pair of those, right? But these two 6 foot giants in terms of how they play are relatable. And they were the featured stars when it came to the matchup of the Knicks hosting the Cavs on Christmas Day. And if you know anything about Madison Square Garden, while Coco Jones was shown on air several times because of her connection and relationship with Donovan Mitchell, there's never a shortage of celebrities in Celebrity Row when it comes to Madison Square Garden. You got Tracy Moore, you got Chris Rock, you got all of these people. You got, I can't think of the comedian's name, I'm tripping, who's always there. I can't think of his name. But their Celebrity Row is who's who. And so it was a great game for the NBA to kick off. Came down literally to a what I call a missed rebound that changed the game. The Knicks ended up getting a putback basket instead of the Cavs boxing out and getting a chance to go ahead. The Knicks beat the Cavs 126-124. Great game. Great Eastern Conference matchup. Phenomenal game. In the second game, you had the Spurs beat the Thunder 117-102. And this is becoming quite a little rivalry, right? The OKC Thunder started off blazing, and now in the NBA Cup and on Christmas Day, the San Antonio Spurs and this young team, where you got Castle, you got Wemby, you got a really young team. They end up beating OKC Thunder again and stealing their thunder on Christmas Day, 117-102. Wemby had a really streaky shooting performance, but some of the stuff he does from a physical standpoint is just mind-boggling. Unbelievable. You had the Warriors beat the Mavs 126-116 in the midst of all of the Draymond Green drama. Him and Steve Kerr seem to be bickering again. You talk about big sister syndrome. There's something going on there. But they were able to ignore it long enough to get the victory on Christmas Day. Then you had the Rockets beat the Lakers, and it was never really close. Kevin Durant looked like the Kevin Durant of old. And so final score 119-96. LeBron loses on Christmas and didn't play particularly well, but they pulled out all stops. You got Kevin Durant. Think of all the stars that I've mentioned so far. Jalen Brunson, Spider Mitchell in the first game. You got Wemby and SGA in the second game. You got Steph playing against Cooper Flag and AD in the third game. And the fourth game has KD playing against LeBron. While KD and the Rockets were able to best the Lakers 119-96, they didn't stop there. The last game was the Nuggets versus the T-Wolves. You got the Joker. You got the Joker playing on Christmas Day.
Can we say enough about the Joker? I mean, if the Joker could speak better English, he'd probably be the face of the NBA.
Probably.
I mean, he's the most dominant player. The most dominant player in the history of the NBA. I say that with my head hung low. I don't even want to give it to him. When I heard the stat that he's led in every statistical category, four statistical categories, which is every one of them. The only one
in the last decade.
For the last decade.
Yeah.
No, Jordan can't even think about that. He doesn't.
Points,
he doesn't lead in
rebounds,
Jordan didn't lead
assists,
in 2
and steals.
LeBron probably could say LeBron wasn't even a point guy like that, even though he's the most points. He never really led, I would say, for a decade in scoring. Like, no one can say that they've done what he's done, and he's a center.
You got to put center in quotes, but yeah.
What I'm saying, he's a 7-foot fat guy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's built like a center. It's not like, Wemby's a 7'4", but he's not a center, right?
Fair.
He's a center. Like he's a center, dog. He looks every bit of a back to the basket type guy. He's a big dude. He
plays in a small market, Denver. He is not American born. He is very
the best
average when it comes to athletic prowess, and yet
he's Shohei Ohtani.
I can't argue that point. To say he's been the most dominant player, top 10 of
10
all
years?
time for sure. I think at this point,
you can't even argue it.
You can't argue. But they also had Ant-Man in that game, right? So the Joker in Denver beat the T-Wolves 142 to 138. And I say that to talk about all the stars that the NBA brought out in order to try to reclaim the dominance that the NBA has had, the NFL has had over the NBA on Christmas Day. And yet, I don't think any of it works. We shall see what the numbers bear out. NFL, I'll go to you. You watch the games. I'll give you the scores wise, and then you can tell me if there's anything worth watching. The Cowboys went to the Commanders, the 1 p.m. game, Eastern. Cowboys won that game. Lions went to the Vikings and lost the 4:30 game, and also lost their opportunity to be in the playoffs, which was the turnover.
Storylines they're kind of interesting. I mean, I guess with the Cowboys, I watch them because I hate them. And so, I watch whatever. But, like, the Commanders are on their third quarterback and still managed to be in the game, right? Deebo Samuels was playing like I haven't seen him play all year, looking really good. Another thing they did, like, I said, like, they had Clinton Portis on. They did all these people, they're doing the broadcast. As soon as Clinton Portis gets on, one of the running back breaks free for like a 90-yard touchdown. So there was a lot of excitement in that game to it be as meaningless as it was. Right. The Vikings game, the Vikings are down their quarterback yet again. JJ McCarthy has got a broken hand, so he's out of there. But they end up putting it on the Lions, and you think, goddamn, the Lions, are playing for their lives. You got to put on them. So I don't know. That's the beauty of the NFL. You just get great games out of stuff that should be meaningless. And then the last game, I think I cut you off where you could say it was the Chiefs Broncos. I mean, still, it's a 13-20 game. The Broncos are one of the people they think could come out of the AFC, and the Chiefs are down. Mahomes didn't even play. Mahomes
Travis Kelce probably played his last game at Arrowhead, and they were, as a fan base, cheering his name, showing him support. He stayed afterwards and got emotional. We probably saw the last of Travis Kelce. If you're dating Taylor Swift, not even dating, you're engaged to Taylor Swift. Are they married yet? No, they're still engaged.
They're still engaged.
If you're engaged to Taylor Swift.
You kidding me? That wedding is going to be on every simulcast on TV pay-per-view. They're going to have horses, and it's going to be like a royal wedding when they get married.
Fair. But at the end of the day, a meaningless game. KC has been out of it since last week, and they've got not one but two quarterbacks suffering from ACL injuries. But yet, I am almost certain that when we look at the numbers and the viewership ratings come out, the NFL dominated the NBA yet again. It's really hard to understand why.
Just better. That's
even with those pedestrian games,
it's still better.
I would say this, because you pointed out that's the beauty of the NFL. Each one of the games has significance. Christmas, when you look at the totality of the situation with the NBA, is almost meaningless. You got 82 games. If you lose on Christmas, not a big deal. Whereas the NFL didn't feature all playoff teams, but the Lions still had a chance to make it. Denver is definitely going to make it. And each week still matters. I just don't know how they do it, but they do it. Shout out to Roger Goodell. You greedy pig, according to...
There's still storylines. Who's going to get fired? What's the draft order going to be? Like, stuff that people really care about is still in play. Like, okay, this team won. All right, that messed up the draft. Like, we all want to know who's going to get the first pick of the draft. Although I do think that the way the NBA does is better with the lottery, so that you could be almost a good team and still get the first pick and, really change your whole franchise around. I like that better. But the NFL, they've done a good job of just, maybe by accident, but it still makes sense. Everybody wants to know who's going to make it, who's going to get fired. This guy play well. So shout out, man. Shout
out to you greedy pig, Roger Goodell. And I'm just quoting Charles Barkley when I say that. I ain't talking about nobody, but I am talking about somebody. We shall see. My team, the Cleveland Browns, have been out of it. Your team is well in it. And so we're going to talk about that in context. We're going to talk about that in context of another battle here in a second. But before we do, I had to get into DK Metcalf's crash out. DK Metcalf, for those who have lived under a rock for the last week, DK Metcalf did the unthinkable. He went over to a fan and decided to take matters into his own hand. According to Ocho Cinco on his show with Uncle Shay Shay, whatever they call it, Nightcap, DK Metcalf accused the fan of calling him an N-word, calling his mother the C-word, and he took matters to his own hand, grabbed the fan by the shirt. The fan was wearing a blue wig, and so the optics of it, because you would think, man, how could you even take someone serious as wearing a blue wig? And so that same night, Chad Ochocinco, according to Chad Ochocinco, got word from DK Metcalf that indeed this is what was said to him. The fan who they located said the only thing that he called him by was his legal name. And while it's an interesting legal name, while he might not like to go by his legal name, I don't think anyone would suggest that if that's the case, it would warrant that response. The NFL has suspended DK Metcalf for the last 2 regular season games, which DK Metcalf and the NFL Players Association did try to appeal that suspension. That appeal was not in their favor. Did not come.
We're not even they are denied.
So DK Metcalf crash out. You see DK Metcalf go grab a fan in the stands, throw a punch, and you think what?
The first thing I'll say that I have a problem with that. If let's go back to our NBA comparison. When you're in the NBA, the fans can touch you. I mean, right. The fans are right there. Sometimes they got to move their feet so that you can throw the ball in bounds. So when somebody gives you some abuse at that, I have a little bit more of a understanding. It's like the difference between me yelling at you from across the street and me getting in your face. Like personal space and proximity have a lot to do with what's going on. DJ Metcalf had to walk so far over there. You can't see anybody else on the team in the frame when they're showing the picture because he's far. So you argue, like, how are you paying attention to what's going on? That's the
how do you even know he says it?
Huh?
Yeah, like how do you even know that fan has said that? Why are you even thinking?
What were you doing that he got your attention, man? People, you see people screaming for give somebody an autograph when they're walking out of a tunnel and they act like they don't hear. If you don't have thicker skin than that. So, but 2, DK, I mean, I got to be honest, you're not playing well enough to lose your temper, right? Yep. I mean, at the end of the year, you're the 4th highest paid player in the NBA.
Going into the season, he's the 4th highest paid wide receiver. And so he has a contract of 4 years, $132 million, meaning on average, he's making $33 million a year, which makes him the 4th highest paid wide receiver, only behind Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb. The 4th one in terms of average dollars per year is our own DK Metcalf, Mr. Crash Out.
So for me, when you got to have that kind of stuff on your mind, man, like I know you may be frustrated because you don't think you're going to play, but like at the end of the day, you're walking over there and you're giving this dude what he wants, right? Because you got to be honest. Anyone who's heckling, that guy, did you see how excited he was when DJ swung on him? He put his hands in the air to the crowd like, I did it. Supposedly, I heard history that this guy's been harassing him since Seattle. And this dude
same guy?
Yeah, same guy.
The same guy made a public statement that he didn't say any derogatory
Of course he didn't. Of course not.
Things, but he made the statement through his attorney, of course. So you can imagine what's coming next.
Lawyered up, baby. That dude was like, I did it. I
finally got him to crash out.
He should have been like Logan or like Jake Paul and let him break the jaw. You flinched. You really missed out. You had to pay a bigger. Since that's what you're going for, it was a much bigger payday.
Right.
If you would have got stolen, let him steal on you, and then fall onto the field.
He's gonna at least claim assault though. Like
fall onto the field, flip over, and let D-Bay give you another one. Because that's big money, right? Now the NFL is going to pay you.
He didn't get touched. Battery is when you actually get touched. Assault is the fear.
That was attempted battery. I thought he was holding
He'll
on
get
to his wig.
assault. There was some sort of civil assault charge.
It's
The threat,
fine. I mean,
the imminent threat that the fan was under is going to be the legal theory in which that attorney tries to get some of that $33 million per year. I don't know what mathematical equation that said fan is going to use, but he's going to try to get a percentage of that $33 million a year.
Get a piece.
Him
and your agent going to buy the same Christmas gifts for their wife.
So that's speculative, but what we can say without a doubt is that by being suspended for those 2 games, DK Metcalf essentially has foregone $555,556 down to the dollar itself. That's what DK Metcalf has surrendered to the powers that be. It's just out in the planet nowhere by throwing that punch and being suspended for the last 2 regular games. I don't know a punch that's worth $555,556. I am going to go out on a limb and say, I ain't going to say it. I don't want to invite anybody to ever call me the N-word, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that people are willing to be called a lot of things for $555,556.
I'm going to say, you could, if you would like me that, you call me the N-word if you want to. You could. I'll probably let you call my mama the N-word. I don't know. We had to see it. We had to try it out. You might be able to get away with that. You know what I'm saying? For those type of dollars, do you know how hard I had to work for that kind of money? You know how much time passes between my checks? Before I get paid like that.
You mentioned DK's performance, his output or lack thereof. So far, DJ, I keep messing it up, and I don't. Please punch me for messing your name up. But DK Metcalf has 59 receptions, which makes him the 43rd best receiver in the league as of today. That number is going to go down because he's not going to have any more receptions in the regular season.
So
he's got 8.
Let's put that into perspective. That means everybody has at least one, and some teams have 2 receivers that are doing better than him. But go ahead.
Yep. And if you break it down per number, when it comes to what he's getting paid, that's close to $600,000 per catch based on his output and what he's getting paid.
Then he went out right after swinging on dude and dropped a couple balls. But go ahead.
DK Metcalf this year has 850 yards, which puts him at the number 23 spot, only 150 yards short of 1,000. He would have probably got to that by the end of the year. Won't get to 1,000 yards. From a yards perspective, that means he is making $38,000 per yard that he has garnered. And DK Metcalf has 6 TDs, right, which makes him the 21st highest receiver in the NFL with 6 TDs. He's tied. And that means he was making $5.5 million per touchdown based on those numbers. Having said that, I give it to you. Final word, DK Metcalf. What say you?
I mean, donkey of the day comes to mind. Can we use that, or do we have to footnote?
We got a footnote where it came from.
Okay.
Give credit to those who come up with the term.
Yeah, Charlemagne. Charlemagne, we had to borrow, but sometimes when you get it right, people borrow. Donkey of the day. But when you start thinking about now that there's an opportunity to get out of the contract, which they're most definitely going to do, they want it out anyway, right?
Yeah, and the reason you say that, for those who aren't aware, there is a clause in DK Metcalf's contract that's paying him all his money. That essentially, and the league suspended him for 2 games for conduct detrimental to the league. That's a catch-all phrase, conduct detrimental. That is a catch-all phrase that means nothing but means everything. And so because he was suspended for conduct detrimental to the league, it now puts in question a clause that is in his contract with the Pittsburgh Steelers that essentially says if he is unable to practice for any reason, the team can void his salary and guarantees for the following 2 seasons, which means that 4-year, $132 million contract could be in jeopardy.
Could be, will be.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. And shout out to Mike Tomlin, because Mike Tomlin, with that win, despite the distraction of DK Metcalf punching in the air at some random fan in the stands, has now secured the 19th. He has made it certain that this is the 19th year where has a non-losing season. All of them have been winning, but he had an 8-8. He had 8-8 seasons before we went to 17 games. Shout out to Mike Tomlin. Who also
but that's another thing, the timing of it. Your team is fighting to make the playoffs. It's trying to do something, whatever. You're worried about somebody who's so far from the bench that no other players were in the picture of the video. No one can see them. That's what you're worried about. And then you coming on the field and not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're done.
Here's where I want to humanize it, because I take DK Metcalf's side a bit, that some of the production or lack thereof might have led to his frustration. We don't know what the fans said. And here's where I take issue with the NFL, is because the number one person on that list in terms of receivers and their compensation is Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase was caught spitting on another player. Mm-hmm. He literally spat on Jalen Ramsey, lied about it afterwards and said he didn't do it, and he got a grand total of a 1-game suspension. So what the NFL is saying, either a punch is more egregious than a spit, or a fan is more valuable than its own players. And that's where I have an issue with the NFL. If Jamar Chase only gets suspended for 1 game for spitting on one of the fellow brethren, the product, the human being that the NFL depends on to continue its multi-billion-dollar conglomerate, then why is DK Metcalf suspended for 2 games for throwing a punch and missing at a fan who, while the fan looked like he had good seats and is paying a top dollar for that seat?
It looked like he walked down to me. It didn't look like he had good seats.
It was one of his seats.
It looked like he walked down to me. I didn't ever saw him sit down again.
But what is the NFL saying by those 2 different approaches to the suspensions? And that's where I have an issue with the NFL. Now, do I think DK Metcalf is still a crash out? Yes. But the NFL, in its rendering a decision, a suspension of 2 games for DK Metcalf for throwing a punch at, yet missing a fan, and rendering a suspension of 1 game after Jamar Chase got caught lying, after the video confirmed indeed that not only he spat at him, but he spat on him, and acknowledging that the other person in that exchange was indeed one of its own, a fellow NFL player, a veteran at that. So what is the NFL saying? That's my challenge with the crash out.
I'm saying, look, everything in society is us and them, right? When you crimes amongst ourselves are always going to be met with less outrage than crimes against others. And so at the end of the day, you got 2 guys on the field, 2 gladiators on the field. He lied because he tried to lie. Until you can pull the video evidence, you're going to have to lie, because everyone knows spitting is a cowardly move. So you have to at least try to say I didn't do it.
And that's also why I want the audio of this fan, because you just said it. You don't have to lie.
Yeah, we don't need audio if DJ says where the hell he's at. Jalen was talking shit. He was talking shit. He shouldn't spit on. That was some coward stuff. And then Jalen pushed him or hit him or whatever. But it's still 2 players and 2 guys who are part of the part of the group. And so he's spinning. Now, had DJ spit on that fan, and I would think there would be a 3-game suspension, a 4-game suspension. You know what I mean? Because
we acknowledge that spitting on someone is worse than throwing a punch.
But I think the victim involved is also a much bigger deal. So exaggeration for evidence. What for emphasis? It had to been a child, even worse, right? So you got some dude with blue hair.
Had it been a lady, even worse. Had it been a young girl, even worse. Right.
And then child. It gets to be worse. But you have to tell the people on the you can control. He can't control the fans. I mean, they can ban the fan flow. They didn't kick him out the game, but they can't control all the fans. There's hundreds of thousands of people that go to games across the United States and everything, whatever. But you can control your players. Don't walk your ass over there. If the fan would have got onto the field, beat his ass.
I think that's virtue signaling, though, man. The NFL, if your value proposition,
what do you
think
should happen? What do you think should happen?
I think they should have been a tie. You should have got suspended for one game because you have shown us in recent weeks that a player spitting on another player is worth a 1-game suspension. If you are now telling me that because this engagement involved a fan warrants a 2-game suspension, then what you're telling me is your value proposition puts the fan over the player. And while you can replace that fan, DK Metcalf is one of the best people that you have out there helping you generate revenue.
He's only top 43.
Well, based on what the market said, the Steelers were willing to pay him like he was a top 5 receiver. And you can find another fan to fill that seat. You can't find another DK Metcalf just readily available to go fill the role. And the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to take a much bigger blow, 2 games versus 1 game in a time that they need him. But I think as players, when I'm looking at that, right, I'm looking at that and I'm saying, damn, I guess fans are more valuable than players.
Yes. So can Chase sue the NFL because he was, can Jalen Ramsey sue the NFL because Chase spit on him?
Probably not. Assumption of risk.
Can the fan sue the NFL because a player stole him?
He's absolutely going to sue both the puncher and the NFL.
Okay. So which is more severe to you?
If you're saying what are they more vulnerable in terms
I'm just saying, man, players fight all the time. We're a violent game. People get into scuffs all the time. Metcalf or Jalen Ramsey and Chase may be homies again after that. I know we'll have a hard time. You spit on me afterwards, and we may go, but they'll probably squash it. They're part of the same group. We're out here doing the same thing, running their mouth. We're in proximity with no security guards around each other because we're on the same shield. They're not going to get sued for that. People are going to say, man, you should have did that, Jamar. That's terrible. That's disgusting. Mike Tomlin. The fact that he even got a 1-game suspension lets you know they think it's really serious because you see people smack somebody on the field all the time. They don't get suspended for that.
Yeah, I think the 1-game suspension was more for the lie than it was the spit. But I'll say this. Mike Tomlin, at the end of that, they asked him, and he said certain things on site. If you spit on me, on site.
Do it comes natural.
Now, do it comes naturally. And so the fact that both of these instances include the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think allows us to have the discussion. But truth be told, if the audio comes out and this man indeed called him the N-word, and this man indeed called his mother the C-word, in addition to calling him by his government name, right? But if an audio comes out that confirms that, I would argue that it's on site too. I'm not gonna let you just call me the N-word. I'm not going to allow you to refer, especially my dead mother. You're not referring to my mother as a C-word.
Why were you over there?
If the fan injected himself into the field of play, he was hanging over the rail, he might have, I don't know, I don't think the audio has to confirm or not. He might have said some things that injected himself into an engagement with DK Metcalf.
Do you think that happened?
I don't know. I'm not going to say one way or the other. I mean, we're basically like, who's telling the truth? I don't know.
Okay, I don't doubt that the fan could have said that, but I think he didn't say it till DJ was over there. So my point is,
calling that man DJ. He gonna come on here, man. It's DJ.
I'm trying to get smacked. That's all I'm trying to do. I don't know what you said. It's the end of the year. My W-2 ain't quite what it was supposed to hit on. I'm trying to get smacked. I want smoke. I want problems. All right, I want him to smack me.
So I'm gonna call him DJ. How about that?
What's your government name? What's DJ is your government name? If you smack me for that, cool. And I'm not moving out the way. I'm going full Jake Paul. I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna say, wow, when I hit the ground. I need some bread, man. So any y'all want to smack me, the going rate's about 500,000.
DeKalen Zacharias Metcalf.
DK. You call me that too. He should have smacked his mama.
And it's spelled capital D-E, capital Kaylin. That's DeKalen. Then he's Zacharias, not Zacharias.
So why did he call DKZ?
The DZ is, I don't know, man.
He's nuts. But I just thought that's childish.
All right.
I'm trying to get props. All I say is, why did you walk over there, man? People yell stuff out the stands all the time. If he would have said the N-word, and if he would have said your mom is a C from that far away, somebody around there would have got up and said something. I believe he called him his government name, and dude has a problem with it. I'm just speculating.
Especially if there's a history with the fans. You said that. There's a history with the fans.
They keep talking about how he had a number 4 jersey with him. I don't know what fans do that all the time. That's normally a good thing, but he had something with him. He said something. He walked over there. And when he bent over, I could see him saying some slick shit like that. And there, nobody can hear you. But there's no way we haven't had a fan come forward and say anything and say, I heard him say anything. Either way, right? People did hear the government name, right? They said that.
They've corroborated that part of the story.
No one has corroborated the racial slurs. If he said it when DJ had his ass over there by the bench, somebody would have heard that. So you're telling me someone calls you your government name and you walk over and get in their face? That's a problem between you and you, right?
Do you think that
if I were to call you by your government name right now, are you going to get off the show? Right? We both know you don't go by your government name. So what?
I know this was going to come back to me. I knew when
you know what, man? I don't like the way that you try to vilify the NFL in this case. I think they did what they had to do. You can't allow your players to slap the fans. Well, is that hard to understand? We can't have that. We can't have that.
My man Lionel, one of our live
abuse the fans
viewers, says he viewed the video and it was supposedly captured from a section over that did not include the N-word. But Lionel does acknowledge that the audio could have been doctored. But
DJ has to claim that. I would claim it too. I wouldn't let you know publicly that the government name, calling me my government name,
gets me that upset.
That upset because every DB in America is going to put the tape of your government name on their forehead.
He will hear it a lot more often. I will say this, and then we can move on. My issue is not that they punished DK Metcalf. My issue is that they punished DK Metcalf more sternly than they did Jamar Chase. Yeah. And Jamar Chase spitting on another human being. So by doing so, you're either saying spit is less vile than punch, or you're saying the fan is more valuable to the NFL than one of its own players. And I think that the latter of that, if you're making that statement, sucks. It sucks for the players that have for generations played without guaranteed contracts. It sucks for the players that on the backs of those players, said NFL has built this multi-billion-dollar conglomerate. It sucks for the players that when you watch the proliferation of football such that it can take over Christmas, and yet you are faced with this reality that the powers that be see you as less valuable than the fans. That part is what irks me. Not that DK Metcalf has been punished, but that DK Metcalf's punishment, when contrasted with Jamar Chase's punishment, suggests something very, very, very powerful. And the NFL, I think, sends the wrong message. You get last word on it, man.
Well, okay, so what would you be satisfied if the NFL pulled Jalen Ramsey aside and said that you get your one target and we're not gonna throw the flag? Let you come across the middle.
No, man, I don't want to be they don't gotta be Vikings.
That's better because what's his name doesn't get any of that money. Like if he would get some of the money, then that would make sense. Like if Ramsey got a little bit of the bread, he doesn't get the bread. So charity gets the money. So he gets nothing. But if you say, all right, look here, man, one time over there.
Yeah, maybe.
Try not to don't drop your head.
One game.
But we're gonna let you smack him one good time, no flags.
They should have gave DK
and the rest all have to go, no flag too. So they can tell it was out there.
They should have gave DK Metcalf one game. Let's hop on, man, because there was another battle that went on. And it was college football versus the NFL. My man Paul McDonough's in the building. What's up, Paul? I put you up just because on the live because I wanted to make sure that I gave you the intro that you needed. And timely, very timely. Paul McDonough is my only, I'll be racist, say I got my one black friend. Well, I ain't messing with the U right now. Paul McDonough is my one fan, friend. That's not true.
I don't like him.
Yeah. I got a lot of UM friends. And And as Paul enters the building for our live recording, he tees us up to the other big sister syndrome that happened. And what we saw when the NFL went against college football and the college football playoffs in terms of viewership, we got to see another battle. We talked about the NBA versus the NFL on Christmas. Now, in this season, we saw college football get to go up against the NFL. And this is the first time that it happened for these playoffs, the new 12-team playoff system. But it resulted in college football, in terms of their viewership, the ratings dropped 7% overall. That's a big drop year over year. From one year to the next, 7% is a sizable drop. The game that had the highest rating, no surprise, because it was the 12 noon game, right, was the Miami versus Texas A&M game.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. No, that's not true. It had the second highest. That was the second highest game. The highest game was Alabama, Oklahoma, which had the Friday night slot.
There was no conflict.
Yeah, they had the primetime slot. But on Saturday, the highest game was Miami versus Texas A&M, which Miami won. Congratulations to the U. Paul, I said it. Congratulations. All my Miami friends is claiming that
I'm putting my
back.
2 weeks notice in today.
I'm going to go ahead and say this. There were two games that were competitive, right? You had the 4-game slot in the first round. We had two games that were competitive. Vegas predicted it that way. You looked at the odds. Those two games delivered. Miami versus Texas A&M was a good game, a defensive battle. Oklahoma,
it wasn't a good game.
It wasn't a good game. I'm sorry.
It was a soccer game where they missed the field. 3 missed field goals to 1 missed field goal was the difference in the beginning of the game. That was trash.
And then a defensive stop at the end. You got to give him credit.
It got good at the end, but that first part was bad. It was.
And like Bain delivered. The defensive end who was challenged by the Texas A&M offensive line delivered. Here's my challenge with Miami, all right? Because what the College Football Playoff Committee did, and I give them credit for it, is they were playing smoke and mirrors. They knew that the Catholic versus convict battle, which had all type of social undertones to it, which brought us back to the days of the 90s, which brought us back to two staples of college football, the fan bases being very passionate with one another. They knew that if they could pit us versus one another, we would ignore, and we've already done this ad nauseum, laid out the timeline, we would ignore the fact that Alabama inexplicably jumped Notre Dame while struggling to beat Auburn the same week that Notre Dame beat the brakes off of Stanford at Stanford. I give the committee credit for smoke and mirrors. And what they did was they had us argue back and forth. My Catholic versus convict. And I fell for the banana in the tailpipe. I argue with all my Miami friends. I entertain people like our own Paul McDonough. I called some of my best friends on the planet and had these debates. And what was going on at the same time is that the fix was in. It allowed us to ignore that Vegas saw a multi-touchdown spread for not one but two games. It allowed us to ignore the fact that while we were yelling about head-to-head matters, they set up not one but two rematches. One of those rematches being Tulane having to play at Ole Miss, and the same results essentially occurred. So bravo, College Football Playoff Committee. You knew how to tap into the emotions of our respective fan bases, and we fell for it.
And to add to what you're saying, I see where you're going. We didn't even talk about this earlier. And then you put the games on against the NFL, so no one has to see it.
No one had to see it. Right?
Nobody had to watch.
Where I'm going there. The two games that they put in the slots that were primetime slot, you had Alabama going to Oklahoma And that game wasn't a good game. Alabama did not deserve, with 3 losses. My brother called me yesterday. Shout out to the Brown family. I missed y'all, man. I wish I could have been in Florida. He called me and said, man, you just missed our brother-in-law who went and played for Alabama. Our holidays are very festive because we talk sports all the time. But I just missed him. He's like, man, he spent 2 hours and we're in the middle of saying Merry Christmas, kids and everything. And my brother brings us up. And so we detour and we go into this long out conversation. But he said, our brother-in-law had the audacity, played for Nick Saban in Alabama, to defend the honor of Alabama, saying they earned their spot as a 3-loss team. There's no way. But because they played Oklahoma again, because it's hard to beat a good team twice, because Oklahoma, too, is a very average team, the narrative that Alabama belongs continues. The narrative that the SEC is dominant continues. But what I saw was 2 very bad teams. Oklahoma jumps out to a 17-0 lead. Alabama scores on a 4th and 2 and changes the game. Oklahoma's very average quarterback throws a pick 6 to keep him in the game.
The punter forgot that you're supposed to swing your leg. Like, so look, when you drop the ball, what comes in? You sling the leg. You drop the ball and you swing.
Kick the ball.
You swing the leg. This motherfucker drops the ball, and that's cool. I've never seen.
I'm not gonna kick it. I'm just going.
I've never seen a strike. It wasn't even a strike. He took a pitch.
It was bad. So I looked at that as 2 average teams showing that they're average. Alabama was better average than Oklahoma's average. And then, but you look at the viewership. The viewership did what it needed to do. 14.9 million people on average watched that game. That's the new record for these playoffs. 8 p.m. game on a Friday night. Genius. The next day we wake up and Miami has to travel to Texas A&M. It was an average of 14.8 million. Very high in terms of overall viewership. And it peaked at 19.3 million, which was probably the end of that game. Here's my challenge for my Miami fans. My Miami friends and family, people that I think are near and dear to my heart, including our own Paul McDonough. He's aggravating, but he's mine. He's my aggravating friend. He's my friend. But to say, based on that game that the U is back, I just think we're lowering the standard. To say, right after the game, Desmond Bain, I thought he was brilliant to call out the Oklahoma offensive line that called him out. But the offensive lineman from Miami that had Jeremiah Love on his brain after winning, what are we doing? Why is Notre Dame living rent-free in your brains? One of my boys from high school tagged me, how about the Canes? And I asked him simply, and I'll ask again, was the goal to win 1 game in the playoffs? Because if you win 2 more, you did what Notre Dame did last year. If you win 3 more, you enter into the land of immortality and hopefully reach the goal that you had at the beginning of the year, and that's winning a national championship. The College Football Playoff Committee was brilliant. They still have us lost in this fog like it is Notre Dame, Miami, when truth be told, Alabama didn't belong to be there, did not belong in those playoffs. And if you look at James Madison and what they did, although they put up some charity points at the end to make it look somewhat respectable, and you look at what Tulane did, which got beat by the same team twice, almost at the exact same amount, instead of losing 45-10, they were able to, short them 4 points and lost 41-10. If you look at the low viewership, if you look at all of these things, the College Football Playoff Committee got it wrong. We should have had 12 teams in there that could win the championship. And if that's not what we're doing, extending it to 12 teams is just a mockery. And we're not going to watch your college football playoff lead-up show next year on Tuesdays because you've shown us that the only show that matters is the last one because you're too busy playing in our face. But having said that, I'm man enough to say, Paul McDonough, family and friends, University of Miami fans, I'm man enough to say,
don't say too much. I will cut this show off.
Congratulations. You're going to hit the button.
I will hit the fucking button. You're going a little too far, man.
Congratulations.
I don't know what kind of side bet you're doing, but I didn't participate in a side bet.
You got to give them credit.
Why don't you wear a fucking jersey, man? Why don't you put the?
I'm not wearing the jersey. You got to give them credit for winning the game. They won the game at Texas A&M. You got to give them credit. Defensive battle. You got to give them credit. But to say the U is back, I think is going too far. But they are.
Just leave it at that.
Moving on.
Oh shit, move on.
They are moving on.
Shit here.
They are.
Hey, listen. I would say 2 teams lost in those games, right? Oklahoma lost and Texas A&M lost. I don't think. I mean, you guys you're a little over celebrating it. I will say you're over celebrating to win Miami because you just shown you didn't think you could win. I got another punk in my life named Julian.
Got another punk in my life,
just like Paul, right? I think they
know each other but don't know each other.
They probably can. I don't know. They stay favored a little bit, but I think the whole time I tried to offer him my money. I begged this dude publicly to bet me about that. He
got ghost. He was Casper. When you say money, he got Casper on you.
Yeah, he act like he don't speak currency. He don't know anything about it. And I know he's a bettor. He ain't never once said they were gonna win. He thought they were gonna lose. You didn't think they were gonna win. No, Paul didn't see Paul running his lips. I will say
Paul was confident, not willing to bet.
I didn't look. So I didn't look. He didn't come up in my algorithm. But I didn't notice it. But I didn't have any of this confidence and bravado coming out. They were just so happy to make it. They were so happy that the head-to-head mattered and they got to get in over Notre Dame. And I'll admit, I was praying y'all got y'all head whooped. I thought for sure. I'm mad at Texas A&M and I'm mad at Oklahoma for out there messing around and letting y'all punks look like you deserve to be in the playoff. But you know what? Y'all did not lose. I'm not gonna say y'all won. Y'all did not lose. Y'all appreciate y'all achieved you dodged
the achievement was not losing.
Achievement was not losing, and you guys are proud of yourselves for that, and therefore you should be proud of yourself because that's the level of congratulations you get. You did not lose.
Texas A&M was playing worse football as the year went on.
Yeah, they just got beat by Texas. They just I think they figured the quarterback out. So I will say this. I'm going to say this. I'm mad. Y'all played well on defense.
They did play well on defense. They did.
Offensively, y'all can't make a field goal. I know y'all over here looking for a field goal kicker. Like, what the fuck? Y'all played well on defense though. But at the end of the day, I still haven't heard not nearly a single Miami fan talk about the next game. They just
I think they're starting to. So here, let's get it.
Is it early? We still early. I can't believe they're not playing the games tomorrow. I ruined my whole weekend.
You thought you were going to – I think they want to give them – well, the whole thing about player safety.
They need to let that go, man. We should have went ahead. I mean, I guess New Year's Day, what am I going to do if I can't watch the games? But still, I don't know.
You see the question from PSP? PSP says, does James Madison and Tulane validate why Notre Dame should make the CFB playoffs? Imagine if ND would have made the playoffs. If Notre Dame – because let's look at the numbers, the viewership numbers, right? We're here, y'all. This is the Ball Hawk Sports Talk. And y'all know what it is. It's where managerial decisions of big finance meet weekly storylines of sports and entertainment. And when you look at these numbers, the managerial decision that the college football playoffs engineered themselves, I would even say they hocus pocused us to put Tulane and JMU. There is a financial implication that we saw. Those ratings dropping 7%. Specifically for a 3:30 p.m. game that they put toe-to-toe against the NFL. Only 6.2 million people watched that game, down from last year's game when Clemson played Texas. 6.2 watched Tulane get their rematch, although head-to-head should matter, get their rematch and get the brakes beat off of them 41-10. And they had an hour of a monopoly before the NFL game started. Then they put James Madison had to go travel to Oregon. And the final score was 51-34, but that doesn't really say what it was. It was 48-13 at one point, 51-26 beginning of the fourth, 51-34 at the end, and they scored a touchdown with 1 minute and 9 seconds left. And if you don't believe me, just look at the viewership. Only 4.4 million people watched that because on another network, your Chicago Bears were going toe-to-toe with the Green Bay Packers in an overtime thriller that was deciding who was going to win the division. And so in the case of college football versus the NFL, the big sister syndrome showed that the NFL—
the big sister.
Yeah, I'm calling the NFL the big sister. But the NFL dominated. Now, if you had Notre Dame versus Oregon in that same time slot, I don't care if Paul Feinbaum's bald-head ass wants to disagree with this. I don't care if any of the Miami fans— well, I ain't going to put that on Miami. College football fans want to disagree with this. The whole SEC can want to disagree with this. But you would have broke records. You'd have broken records having Notre Dame travel to Oregon in a first round of a college football playoff game. And instead, only 4.4 million people tuned in to watch JMU do what Vegas knew was going to happen, do what the Ball Hog Sports Talk knew what was going to happen, do what even JMU parents themselves knew what was going to happen, get their ass whooped. And it just doesn't make sense. If you want to make the big business as big as possible, you've got to put the best teams out there. And people are saying, well, it's the most deserving teams. A deserving team is one that can actually compete. You are going to increase the numbers by putting teams out there that can actually advance. And none of us thought, while we were hoping as Notre Dame fans that Miami would lose so we could shut people up like my cousin Paul McDonald and some of my blood cousins and best friends down in Florida, while we were hoping, none of us thought that it was that lopsided that Miami didn't belong on the same field with that Texas A&M. No one in their right mind thought that JMU should have been on the field with Oregon. And all we needed to do was look at the regular season and use that as evidence that Tulane didn't belong on the same field as Ole Miss. So College Football Playoff Committee, either you're going to get it right and put the right teams out there so we can take this big business that it has now become, college football, and put it in its rightful place, because there are pros out there playing now. They're getting money.
Let me speak up, and I always want to be truth tellers when we talk about any topic that we go through. To be fair to the College Football Playoff Committee, which you got to remember, there's nobody who's in these committees or anyone who works for the NCAA. These are all people that work for the universities. It's not like a separate entity of they just went and hired some people off the street and do whatever. All these people,
fair.
They're all people that work for the university. So they have inherent biases and stuff that's going on. There's lawsuits that you got to worry about, antitrust and all kind of stuff like that if you're going to try to lock people out. So the rule is they didn't put JMU and they didn't put Tulane in it. They ruled their way in.
The at-large gives them a little discretion.
There was no at-large. They're not at-large. Those were automatic bids. So they had to put they were in there by law. Like go if they weren't in there, go to court and they win $1 million. They had no choice.
But
100% sure.
You're right, but
no,
what they did with the rankings.
Let me finish my thought.
Go ahead.
The rule is, which is what got them in there, is the top 5 ranked conference champions get an automatic bid.
Right.
When they made the rule, how many power teams were there?
There were 5 before they made it.
And then, so who the fuck knew that summer, in 2 weeks, that the Pac-12 was going to disintegrate to 2 teams? Nobody knew that was going to happen. So when that rule was created, there was a Pac-12. Right, or a Pac-12.
There's a Power 5, first Power 4.
There was a Power 5. Now there's only a Power 4, and then one of those Power 4s is trash. So now you got to Power 3 because the way the rules are set up is Miami was the never in the history of festivity has there been the number 3 team make it to a playoff, but the number 1 and number 2 team from said conference don't make the playoffs. That doesn't even make any sense. No one can even think of it. But when the number 1 team is 7-5, you can't give it to the team that just got beat by the 7-5 team. and Miami didn't even play for it. So, in the defense of the college football playoff, they didn't realize what kind of monkey tiebreakers that they were going to have in the ACC, which I still don't understand how the hell Miami doesn't make it to that game. So Miami doesn't make it into that game. So they're at the crib. Virginia doesn't. Virginia would have been in there over JMU or whatever had they won. They would have made it over JMU or Tulane, but they lose. Duke is still not going to be ranked higher than them. There's no way they're putting Duke in there at 7-5. That's just too obnoxious. So they had to put in those teams. So the college football playoff was put in a situation where they were stuck, and the ACC messed everything up. And then they should have switched it to Power 4 teams because not the Power 5. There was two examples. One, Cincinnati, when they made the regular playoffs from a group of 5 team.
Yep.
They didn't want to get locked out. And then a couple of years ago, Central Florida was undefeated going into it, and they got locked out. So those are the two examples that they thought that there was going to be a rare occurrence where there was a group of 5 team, like, Boise State was definitely a good team, and they look and say, we don't want a team to go through and do this and make it. Nobody in a million years thought that JMU was going to be ranked higher than everybody. They thought it would all take care of it.
That's where my butt is. You're right, but and at the same time that they were finagling the Alabama ranking in order to set up this classic debate.
They picked the victim. That's what it was.
They went on the bottom end of the top 25 and made sure that those two teams were ranked, so you got to the group of 5 ruling with if they are ranked. And that's my challenge with what happened. They were doing two things at once. On the top end of the rankings, they were making sure that Alabama was positioned such that they would make it in, right, regardless of what happened. And Alabama almost spoiled that pre-scripted decision because they got their ass whooped, and that didn't even impact anything. And then the bottom end with group of 5s, they wanted to make sure that one, if not 2 of those teams got in, and they did it. And the word deserving has now become this talking point. It's the most deserving team. And group of 5, while you might want to call it deserving, I would agree with Nick Saban. Create their own championship, right? Do something different.
I don't think that's the situation. They need to create their own, to be honest with you. It's already a mismatch with the money and all the different things there and how they're going to get paid. So you got to give them a chance to compete. This was a fluke. I think that the SEC was embarrassed last year because they didn't make the Final Four. I think that they stacked the deck to make sure they made the Final Four this year because now you have Tulane or Ole Miss is going to be playing against Georgia, so they have to make the Final Four this year.
Let's give the predictions then.
We'll get to that second. I think that's obviously the people who are ESPN is controlling things because they have the SEC contract, so they've shut up, Paul. But they are trying to make the SEC has been sold as the dominant conference for so long. When they typically have 1 or 2 good teams, and everybody else is still great teams, but they're no better than the Big Ten or any other conference other than the top 2.
Did you watch? Were you a part of the millions that watched each one of the games?
I watched the first 2, and then I watched the NFL.
Got it. Oh yeah, because the Bears were on.
The Bears are on, and then I didn't give a shit. I watched as much as I could have. I was gone. I was out. I think I applaud them. I want to thank the CFP for putting the Miami game at noon so that I didn't have to make a decision based off of what was going on with the Bears game because that game was important to me. I wanted to watch it.
Fair.
So they were smart. I think college football and NFL have always had like a kinship. And they've been playing Saturday football games in the NFL for years now.
Yep.
And they kind of massage they massage it so that they don't compete. They didn't give the NBA that same respect.
They did not.
No.
They did not. I wanted to get into the games. Let's go real quick for the semifinals or quarterfinals. We're the quarterfinals now. You have the Cotton Bowl. It's the first game up. They've got the lock on the primetime block. They are December 31st as you're getting ready for your party at 7:30 p.m. Game will probably end right at 11:30. You can get dressed in your tux as you get ready to go where you're going to go. You got Miami at Ohio State. Miami fans have talked about being robbed for years of their +1 national championship. The phantom pass interference call has haunted Miami for a long time. Their program has not gotten back to that point since that, let's call it, I'm not going to put, since that questionable call. Let's call it questionable call. Where do you have Miami? Do they get redemption? Is vindication going to be achieved in the Cotton Bowl this year on December 31st at 7:30 p.m.? They got the entire monopoly on the slot. They got a monopoly on the slot. Everybody's going to be watching that game. Miami at Ohio State. I don't have the odds. It don't really matter now. We got a long enough time. It's going to change several times. Who do you got winning?
It's a 9.5 point spread.
9.5 point? Damn. So they're not giving Miami much of a chance.
You know who's doing the giving and who's doing the getting. So
yeah, I know. So they ain't giving Miami much of a chance. But we do it different here.
I'm going to say this. This is something that has thrown me off when I looked at the playoffs. If I take away my anger, the Notre Dame anger, and I look at just the playoffs in general, it's pretty exciting for college football, because as I was doing my research before for other topics, I realized that Ohio State has had a real soft schedule this year.
They have.
They lost to Indiana, and they beat Texas when Texas was trash. Texas has gotten better, but the first game of the season, my godson wasn't playing, so that hurt their receiving core, and that's when their quarterback liked to throw to the other team more than himself, right? Than his own players, right? He was more of a giver. And so that's the only team they beat. They only played. Michigan is the only team in the top 5 of the Big Ten that they played the whole season.
And that's a rivalry game. So
that's a rivalry game until they played Indiana, and then Indiana beat them. So they're not who I thought they were. If Miami plays the defense that they played last week, I'm not impressed with their offense right now, but if they play the defense that they played last week, I think they could beat the spread, but I don't think they can win the game.
So you have Ohio State winning, but by less than 9.5.
I hate to say it out loud, but yeah, I want to be a truth teller.
I got Ohio State because you asked me who I think is going to win it all. And full transparency, I think Ohio State and Georgia the best nod to win it all. So Ohio State has to win for that to be true. But I would agree it's going to be a close game. Miami showed me something defensively, not only when they played us, but, throughout the year, they've had up and down performances. But a lot of their volatility has been because of their quarterback position. And they started the season off with these 2 running backs that seemed unstoppable. They finally got back to the running game against Texas A&M. I think it's going to be a very close game. I think Ohio State wins in a squeaker, but I wouldn't be surprised if Miami won that game. Now, I don't think Miami has a chance to win it all, just because their quarterback play is spotty at best. I'm not a big Carson Beck fan. I think Carson Beck, when it's all said and done, Carson Beck needs to be taking the trial for the robbery he committed against the University of Miami. I mean, he took all that money and the productivity is just not there. He's got a phenomenal receiving core. I think Malachi Toney is going to go on to be in the same conversation, not the same size and not the same dominance physically as a Jeremiah Smith, but in the same conversation in terms of his domination and output.
Brown type.
Yeah. I mean, like Malachi Toney is real deal. Yeah. Kid's supposed to still be in high school.
As much as I hate Miami, I felt better. I felt good for him as an individual human being, that a child of God. That after he fumbled, that they trusted. He
got a chance, He redemption.
I had to take so many things and put him on the side to give myself that moment.
He's a likable guy.
When he got interviewed at the end, I didn't hate him like I wanted to.
Malachi Toney, shout out to American
he
Heritage.
Said that his teammate came, his high school teammate came to him, and was like, "We still need you. We still got you." For this long, I didn't hate maybe closer to this. I was like, okay. That was a feel-good sport, a feel-good story for that.
But we might as well put it out there. Paul McDonough, all my family and friends, Michael Irvin is become the most annoying. That's my St. Thomas Aquinas brother. Boy, it's annoying watching y'all.
It's like somebody uncle that got sideline pass that shouldn't touching Cristobal during the interviews and kissed him. He kissed the ball during the interview.
Oh, y'all aggravated.
Go ahead somewhere, man.
I don't think that you was back, but y'all are a lot closer to being back than I want to acknowledge as a Notre Dame fan. And we'll see y'all next year in November. I still have Ohio State winning a squeaker. I think that's going to be the best game of the next round. Miami has a lot to get off their chest. They are representing the emotions of, when you say that you is back, those players from this year go onto that field with that onus on their shoulders, knowing that Miami faithful, the fans, the former players, are still mad at Ohio State. They still feel cheated. And I think going in with that emotional boost makes this a damn good game. Don't be surprised if Miami wins that game. We got the second game, which will be on the New Year's Day. The noon game, New Year's Day, is Oregon at Texas Tech. Who you got winning that one?
Something about Texas Tech.
I'm sorry, not at Texas Tech. I should change that. It's the Orange Bowl, so they're playing in Miami.
Yeah, they have home and away.
Sorry. But they are the home game at the Orange Bowl. Sorry.
Something about this Texas Tech team has got me a little – I feel like they're being just being slept on. Nobody really talking about them.
Best defensive player in all of football. I like that backer. That linebacker, real deal. Deal.
Yeah. They say SEC, they say Big Ten. This seems like it's a big battle. And I feel like Texas Tech is like, y'all really ain't watching none of the games.
What's the spread on that one?
1.5.
1.5. So they're basically saying it's a punt, right?
It's a pick 'em.
It's a toss.
I think Oregon has shown me that they do not do well in big games. They had a good game against Ohio State during the season last year. They got beat by Indiana this year. They got destroyed by Ohio State in the conference championship last year. I just feel like they have all this talent. They bring in a brand new roster. They pay them all every year, but they're on continuity. They have a lot of receivers that are hurt. They didn't, get those guys developed. I know they really weren't playing their secondary receivers much until these guys got hurt. I don't know who's coming back. I just don't have any faith at all. I think they have an explosive offense. If they come through, they look like they can kill you. But I'm going to go Texas Tech in this game.
Texas Tech. All right. Oregon, to me, looks like they're sick of hearing people say that they don't perform in big games. There's a new coach with a new culture that I think says they're ready. And look, to preserve what was known as the bowl games, to preserve the title sponsors, to preserve the tradition of college football, we had these quarterfinal games being played in neutral sites. I'm going Oregon. I think Oregon wins. I think Oregon wins that game. And the granddaddy of them all, I saved my chain for that one. The Rose Bowl. We've got Alabama going to Indiana. It's a 4 p.m. game on New Year's Day. By then, everybody's awake. By then, you've dusted off the cobwebs from the drinks the night before. By then, you are really involved in this whole drama-filled SEC bias. Indiana, who has been little sister in the Big Ten for a long time, is now big sister because they won the Big Ten championship. Kurt Signetti has proven that this was not a fluke last year. They have appeared in 100% of the new format, college football playoffs. They have been underestimated beyond measure. And now they have a chance to go toe-to-toe with the team that has been the face of SEC bias, the team that is the face of this year's inexplicable decision to put a 3-loss team just because they play in the SEC in the playoffs. Indiana is holding the key to all of us burning down this myth that existed so long. What's the spread and what is your prediction? As I put on my chain.
The spread is 6.5. Indiana's giving us the points. The only thing I fear about Alabama,
Uh-huh.
I mean, they're classic underachievers this year, right? They definitely don't
Yes.
have Nick Saban. They still have a lot of the same talent. I'll let you get so you want you hear some of this church, so I ain't got to say it again. I know you missed me. I think they still have the same type of talent that they had before. They don't have Nick Saban, but I feel like they woke up and found themselves in the second round of the playoffs when they had 3 losses and shit wasn't going good. So I'm scared that some of that experience from the past might be coming up, even though there's not many people left.
Nick Saban ain't on that sideline no more.
There's nobody left on the team that's won a national championship, right?
That's a good question. I mean,
Georgia
these
won
days,
twice.
with how many
Georgia
years
won
of
twice.
eligibility?
Michigan won, and then
Ohio State
won. So there's nobody on that team because nobody's going to stay a 5th year at Ohio State.
What these years of eligibility? Well, who knows? I'm not willing to say no.
There's no such thing as a 5th year player.
I know Nick Saban ain't over there. I know that the current coach was
experience. I think right now, Indiana's on a Cinderella team right now. Cinderella meaning from week 1, just watching them play for this coach. They believe they've got the Heisman guy that's out there. He's out there speaking Spanish, pissing everybody off. So now he's got a little villain in him. I'm going to go ahead and say Indiana's going to win. I'm not going to predict the score. I hope
What's the spread?
6.5. I hope it gets ugly, but I'm not going to make a prediction.
I'm going ugly. I think Indiana has more to fight for and more to prove than anybody else. This is your best team in the history of Indiana football. You got the Heisman Trophy winner, and you have the pressure of showing the college football world that Alabama didn't belong. Mm-hmm. And if you do this win, despite the fact that Alabama was 3 lost, because the College Football Playoff Committee didn't think that was a big deal. The name Alabama holds so much weight. Well, I'll put on my big chunk. If Indiana wins this game, it propels them to the next level, and we're going to see a level of domination where they start getting the floodgates open, and they're looked at as a powerhouse, just like Michigan, Ohio State, and some of the other Big Ten powerhouses. And the floodgates open. They start getting recruits, top recruits from the Midwest and the rest of the country, people that aren't afraid to go play in the Midwest for the next 6 years. That's how important this game is to Indiana. I'll give you the last one, man. So that was the Rose Bowl. And then I'm going to challenge our audience. For anybody that's watching, live audience, you're watching the recording, let us know who you got winning. We started with the Cotton Bowl. Miami is playing at Ohio State, 7:30 p.m. on December 31st. The Orange Bowl is the kickoff game on New Year's Day. You got Oregon going, or not going to. Oregon is the away team. Texas Tech is the home team. And the Orange Bowl, that's at noon. We just covered the second game at 4 p.m. It's the Rose Bowl on New Year's Day, the granddaddy of them all. You got Alabama, the away team, playing Indiana, the home team. And then I ask you, for the primetime game on New Year's Day, which is the Sugar Bowl, Ole Miss is the away team. Georgia is the home team. Who you got winning in the primetime slot Sugar Bowl? Ole Miss at Georgia in the Sugar Bowl.
It's a 6.5-point game. I feel like you're going to have a hard time beating Kirby Smart. Even though I don't think Lane Kiffin is much of a coach, I think you're going to have a hard time coming out here without your full strength and beating them. So I think Georgia's going to put a little something to them.
You think it's not going to be close?
I think there's a little belt to ask.
BTA. We shall see. I'm going to go with you on that one. I don't think it's going to be lopsided because Ole Miss is that good. And they've got their offensive coaches, everybody but Lane Kiffin back. The defensive coach is the interim head coach. And I think Ole Miss stays in the game, but I think Georgia wins. Let us know who you have winning. Cotton Bowl, Orange Bowl, Rose Bowl, and the Sugar Bowl. We're going to get out of here soon, man, so let's go home with this. Have you watched any of the others? Big Sister Syndrome. You've got these playoffs that everybody is paying attention to. And other than the games that feature teams that shouldn't have been there, in slots that they had to go up against the NFL. You also got your record-breaking viewership game in these here playoffs at 14.9 average million. Seconded by a robust 14.8 average million viewers with the Miami going to Texas A&M game. The record was Alabama going to Oklahoma. Have you watched any of the others?
Like if one's on, I'll stay, check it out, catch a couple series. I probably couldn't recite anything that I really saw of note, but they tend to be. I like football. I like watching 11 people smack into another 11 people.
Can you name any of the others anymore?
I'm trying my hardest. I'm trying to think. I can't think of nothing. I think Western Michigan played somebody at one point during the game. That's why I'm looking this up. The good ones haven't started yet, though, because you got to remember, we just got Christmas yesterday. You play to a pre-Christmas game. You play halftime at Thanksgiving Day parade. You play the game. It's tough, but no. I watched as much as I've watched them in the past. Let me say that. They haven't gotten any less important to me because I don't think there's much less to go. But I'm happy they're still doing them. It gives me something to watch, because otherwise I'm going to have to watch the Charlie Brown Christmas cartoon specials and shit like, you know what I'm saying?
Give me Charlie Brown. Because when I watch a game, I've watched a few of them too, but when I watch a game where you see a South Florida team lose to Old Dominion by 2 touchdowns because their quarterback is entered the transfer portal. You watch a Xbox Bowl, right, where it was a pretty good game, but there's nobody in the stands. I watched a game that it was NC State Memphis, so it's in a NFL stadium, Raymond James Stadium. You could hear a penny drop.
I did watch some of that game.
And so, like, when you look at it, you're looking at the viewership numbers that'll come out, and we'll bring those out. But you're looking at the lack of attendance. And here's where I want to say, and I just want to make this point. For all of you, which camera? I'm going to look in that camera. For all of you that took issue with Notre Dame making the decision to not join the bowl season and not playing a bowl after being snubbed, get over it. It made no sense for those young, I don't even want to say just young athletes, young businessmen. They're businessmen now, to take the risk with such little reward. And yes, Notre Dame probably would have still sold out the stadium. Yes, the viewership would have been high. But for what? You're taking that risk for what? I'm watching these games, man. Nobody's there. And I could just imagine in my mind, hypothetical keyboard warrior who went to one of these schools, got everything to say, but didn't buy a ticket, buy a flight, and take their ass to the game. That's why Notre Dame didn't play in the game. This is the Ball Hog Sports Talk, right? Where all of these things matter. They matter. And so if you've got managerial decisions of big finance, like an athlete that I've spent several $100,000, in this case, maybe even millions of dollars, to covet them to come to my school, and I'm colliding with weekly storylines of sports and entertainment, Notre Dame made a sound business decision. Don't nobody care about these other bowl games. The viewership shows it. The attendance shows it. And unfortunately for the other bowl games, the sponsorship is going to follow. It would make no sense for you to be a sponsor, a title sponsor of some of these other games, unless you just like throwing away money.
So, I mean, you never saw some of them, the Lagerfeld Bowl or whatever you want to call it, Brute by Fabergé. They got all kind of stuff, man. It's somebody watching them.
You ain't.
Have them.
You ain't. You literally said if it's on. Like, you have not.
I know, but I got to watch something. I'm at the house. It's the holidays. Where am I going to be at?
Maybe you're right. I don't see it, man. I don't see it. Notre Dame, great decision.
Some people,
and I think
for the right schools and the right kids, it's a great experience. I've been through the bowl games. My son's been through a bowl game. It's a good experience.
Fast forward, 2025.
But here's, it's not the right thing for the Notre Dames or the BYU's that missed it, or I would even argue that the Texas of the world, maybe it would, the upper teams. But man, like, right now, today, Northwestern is going to play against Central Michigan. You're not going to watch. I'm going to watch.
What's the name of that bowl?
I know where it's at. It's in Detroit.
Whoever the title sponsor is so mad at you right now.
It's in Detroit.
It's in Detroit. So Motor City Bowl.
It's the Catalytic Converter Bowl. If you're in Detroit, they'll steal your Catalytic Converter in a minute in Detroit while you're in a light. But anyway, I'm going to watch that game, and people who like the Big Ten will watch that game. They're going to get their viewers. They'll probably get about 2.5 million, probably.
2.5 million what?
Subscribers.
Man, anybody watches.
Somebody going to watch. I got to find out. We got to find out what the numbers are on some of these bowl games. Somebody look that up. But anyway, at the end of the day, they're going to have some people watching. And it's for a program like that's not going to ever win the Big Ten, unless they make some changes or whatever. Middle of the road team. This is a good, you know what I'm saying?
They said the same thing about Indiana. But in order for
they made changes. Indiana made changes. They
made changes.
So Northwestern is going to be a mid-tier Big Ten team, which is nothing to sneeze at. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're in there. They beat Penn State this year. They had some big games. They beat the hell out of UCLA. They're a mid-tier team. Not everybody can be the champion of the team. No, there's no conference that has new teams battling to be the champion every year. It's a group of teams every once in a while, then you get the outlier. So my point is, for these kids, it's good. They go to Detroit, they get the bowl gear, they get a little bit of money in their pocket, they're doing whatever. I think it's fantastic.
You're describing this big brother syndrome, which in today's show we're gonna call big sister syndrome. But at some point, if you're tired of being little brother, or in this case, little sister, I guess you could be little brother to the big sister. But if you're tired of playing that role, you got to put your foot down and start doing things consistent with taking over the role as big sister. Indiana did it with hiring Cignetti from, ironically, JMU, but and they also did it by making sure that they put around him processes and gave him tools to achieve his goal. That's why he had all of those. Indiana is an elite school academically. IU is an elite academic school. They put the tools around Cignetti to make sure he go get a team that looked like a Big Ten team. Looked like
he brought in JMU kids. He beat
the best. He brought in the best of them. He brought in the best of them along with other teams, other players that he had played at the JMU level. But what I'm saying is, now look what he's done in the transfer portal. Watch what he does next year. I knew we were in trouble when a kid flipped he was going to LSU forever, and he flipped and went to IU last year. And I was like, what just happened? All of a sudden, IU is doing what they need to do. That's because the money ain't funny no more.
Unless you on a fishing trip.
I ain't trying to check nobody's pockets. Let's go home with this, man, because we still got, in this episode of Big Sister Syndrome, inspired by our love for the ladies, but also inspired by my big sister. Our love for the ladies in the terms of the WNBA. WNBA has until January 9th in order to get this new CBA signed. This has been a year of turmoil starting January of last year. And it'll end calendar year-wise another year of turmoil if they are unable to come to terms on this new collective bargaining agreement, which means that we can see work stoppage consummated and confirmed by as early as January 9th. Just so happens that at the same time, on January 5th, the 3-versus-3 league, Unrivaled, that is run by, owned by, and it features WNBA players that has equity, and they have a TV deal already. And so while Caitlin Clark has said no to Unrivaled, a lot of the premier WNBA players have said yes. Does the WNBA have to get this right? We talked about what the big fight is over. The league proposed a $1 million base max salary with revenue sharing model. The result in players receiving about 15% of all league and team revenue. The union countered and said with nearly 30% of total league and team revenue, then they could talk. And the league's latest proposal include revenue sharing model that would increase player salary maximums to more than 1.3 million, with the average salary would go to 530,000, and the minimum will be 225,000. The union seems fixated on fighting for the percentage on league and team revenue. They are at an impasse. Unrivaled starts January 5th. What do we have here in this episode of Big Sister Syndrome? What do you think the outcome will be?
I got to go back to what I said last week, and I got to say that be careful, right? Because, you know, if I'm an analogy guy. If you're married to somebody and that person doesn't bring anything to the table and is threatening to leave you.
Man, our whole episode last year was about cheating. Last week was about cheating. So just be careful here, man. We got away with it 1 week.
Just so you know, Bobby has final word on what we call the show. Just so you know. Bobby has final word on what we call the show.
I mean, I just feel like the bus just ran all over me. I'm under it right now.
Hey, you're too far for stitches, but I'm stitching. But my point is, like, you got to know where you are in the negotiation of who you are. So if the ultimate threat for any negotiation with the union is what? Strike.
Strike. Right? Yep. Work stoppage.
So if you do a work stoppage and you go on a strike, what are your people who own the business missing? What are they missing out on?
Income, paycheck.
Okay. Well, I'm not saying that the players, but the owners.
Oh, the owners.
This is the first year.
Oh yeah, got
this thing looks like they can take out more than they put in. It's a little too soon to start threatening, because if you go on strike and the TV contract says we're going to leave, if you go on strike in the NFL or the NBA, those sponsors aren't going anywhere. They want you because they know when you come back they're going to make some bread.
And there's no competitor.
There's no competitor.
There's no stateside competitor.
So if you're the WNBA and you say we're not going to play anymore, they're like, okay, well, I lost. Each organization is like, well, I lost this many million last year. You're threatening to make me no longer lose the money? It's still a charity. It's just getting now to the point where it's break even. But the people who own you are all NBA teams, right? They're all the WNBA teams are owned by NBA owners, right? Or are they? Is that a new?
That's a parent. It's a parent partnership, but yeah, they've got their.
So my thing is
structure now.
Take it. You know, my wife and I are both in sales, and sometimes we're like, well, I'm going to take this customer off your list. Cool, take them. What you know? They don't make me any money. They're not buying anything, and they bugging me talking shit. So both of us would say, take the customer. Ah, damn. You know, all right, take them. You can have this one. We're happy as hell that they took the customer from us because it's work and they're not making money. So the WNBA is they're at break even the way that they were last year. For the first time, they weren't in the red for the first time ever. So you're telling me that you're going to threaten to stop giving me the labor of something that I've been losing money on that we've only been doing because of the Title IX attitude of this country. And trust me, I support female sports. I am all over it. You know, my daughter is a female athlete. My son's girlfriend is a professional female athlete. Like, I am all for them, but you got to know who you are when you get to. I'm just saying, be careful when you try to be too tough. Because if they say no, now if the Unrivaled can step up and do this and take over, I say the WNBA might be like, God bless them. Now, WNBA is now that I think the reason why they haven't made money is because they haven't really tried hard enough. And I think if they try hard, they have something there. So maybe somebody would pick it up if they just fold it up. I'm just saying, be careful, ladies. I want you to win, but be careful.
Nafisa Collins last year, after being outed from the playoffs, or ousted from the playoffs, I should say, was very demonstrative and using colorful language about their leadership, to say the least. She basically said, we got the worst leadership of any professional sports league. Not basically, that's exactly what she said. And not those exact words, but that's what she said. So when you've got your best players saying stuff about your leadership in that format, you got to be careful. And I think it just shows that we have a long way to go. While I would agree with you, know who you are and be very, very careful about your tactics and understanding your leverage or when you move. I could also take the other side though, Big Flo. Like the WNBA has grown into a real household league now where the players, including but not limited to Caitlin Clark, have impacted that. There was not this new surge of interest in women's basketball that came out of nowhere. The interest came from the product being the players. And while Caitlin Clark might have, I think, pushed the can down the road one more year where Unrivaled is not rivaling the WNBA by saying no to Unrivaled, their structure is better. There's more equity, figuratively and literally, when it comes to Unrivaled 3 versus 3. Unrivaled has, right now, where they don't have the leverage, right, is only 8 teams, 53 players, 48 on the main rosters, while they have a pool of development players. But that grew from 36 players in 2025. Caitlin Clark saying no, we'll look back on that years from now and see what that did for the league. But their structure is very fair. It's top heavy, run by the players that invested in this league. They've got TV deals already. They got to the point of solvency way quicker than the WNBA. And they did it as an exercise of investment by the players. It's kind of FUBU, for you, by you, if you will, when it comes to Unrivaled. And the product is good. Shorter courts, smaller courts. It's 3 versus 3. They have a lot more high-scoring games. It doesn't rely on what has attracted me to the WNBA is systemic, good, sound basketball. It's more the highlights that seem to attract new viewers. And the WNBA, I think, might be in trouble if they don't get their stuff together before January 9th, get this new collective bargaining agreement signed. There's got to be a compromise in between because they're not that far apart. But I'm looking forward to seeing another WNBA season. But I'm also excited about Unrivaled. Starting January 9th. So we shall see. In this episode of Big Sister Syndrome, WNBA is still the big sister. They got to be careful because Unrivaled is made up of the people that are the reason that we watch. They're the reason we watch. We want to see, Angel Reese go out there and ball. Paige Beckers is now in 2026 going to be one of the Unrivaled players. And she's balling at USA Kent right now. She's playing better than Caitlin Clark, if we're being honest. And she plays the game in a way that most men, not to make it all about men, but to make it universal in terms of potential viewers, he plays the game the way we like to watch it. So we'll leave with that, man. This has been a phenomenal episode of the Ball Hawk Sports Talk. And remember, the Ball Hawk Sports Talk is where managerial decisions of big finance meet weekly storylines with sports and entertainment. The Big Flow Show is in the building. I'm your boy, B. Brown ESQ, a.k.a. the Ball Hawk, a.k.a. the Mouth of South, a.k.a. Mr. Excessive Celebration, a.k.a. Breezy. This has been the labor of our love. You guys enjoy all of the sports, but most importantly, enjoy each other. 'Tis the season to enjoy your family, y'all. So enjoy each other. Be blessed. And with that, we is out. Peace.